are absolutely at the very, very early stages of what data can really provide to banks or to the general industry in general. A lot of the focus is on hype. So we'll have big data, data science, artificial intelligence, RPA, without really understanding the foundational elements of what managing data well can do to your organization. And I'll always split it into 4 areas of data that you should really focus on. Transactional, which are all of your applications and all your systems hold data, regardless of any analytics. They are going through digital transformation. They'll have migration. You'll change them. That's one key focus for data. The other one is operational. APIs, microservices, these are all data exchange and integrations. And then analytical, where the data science, the big data sits in that space. And then I'd say the cognitive elements. How do we make decisions generally? How do I measure processes? How do I measure a business case is actually giving me the benefits of any kind of business case throughout the organization or any change initiative, that it gives me the benefits? I'd like to track that with data. So fundamentally, data is, it's the root of human intellect. So, and I'd give another example. If data was truly important to a business, just as money is an asset, data is also an asset, you have this chief financial officer. You have an entire financial department dedicated to looking after where does it go, where does it come from, in what state is it. We don't do that with data. We jump to an analytics initiative and we try and create some data science which can't scale, has a very small limited use case, can't be integrated operationally into the business. So its value is really not what it could be. I think generally it's all around big data and data analytics and data science, a little bit of machine learning and artificial intelligence at the moment. I think that's where banks are looking to bring in expertise in those areas. We've been on that journey in Santander for a number of years now. So there's been a lot of learning. And I'd always say that a lot of the things that we're doing now have been done in the past. There are lessons learned from history. We've been working with data and databases for a very long time. We've been doing analytics and science on data for quite some time. The problem is that we think it's something completely new. The technology is different, but the fundamentals, engineering discipline, foundational elements of understanding what data really means, those are still the same. So even the focus is around analytics at the moment, I think banks really need to wake up and understand that people have done a lot of this in the past and not to lose the lessons learned, so we can actually drive value with this and integrate it within the business so that it truly provides exploitation capabilities. I think a lot of the focus right now is around customer experience. So quite a few banks are now starting to understand that there's a customer life cycle journey. From when someone's a child and has a savings account open for them, as they grow through their teens, they get savings accounts, current accounts, credit cards, mortgages, as they progress through their different stages of life. And I think banks are starting to understand that if I can collate and collect data at these key points, I could be in a position to actually offer products and services before the needs are almost identified. So for example, we could know that someone could be ready to take a mortgage before they've even actually gone onto Google and done a search for comparing mortgages or instructed a mortgage advisor. So by understanding the data, income levels have changed, maybe they've been on Rightmove or they've been on a Zoopla looking at houses. You can collate this data and be able to react to customer demand before and offer services and products before the demand has actually come through to yourself. So very much proactively engaging with customers. And I think a lot of focus now in innovation is really around social media. I think we have a good understanding from a risk appetite. There's a whole element of social behavior which could in turn give you an idea of, is this person really worthwhile lending to? Maybe the credit score is not great, but from a social perspective and social media data, we can understand that actually they're a very good person to lend to. So I think innovation is happening in some of these areas around customer lifestyle, customer experience, and social media integration of data. I think I could probably split these predictions into 2 halves of the world, right? So in the West, in the UK, in the US and European countries, we've seen data management as a discipline become more widely known. So we're actually on our 3rd generation now of the Chief Data Officer. So a CEO or the board or ExCo have figured out, you know what, data is really important. I need to bring someone in to sort it out. The first generation was very much regulatory. The second generation was very much analytics and data science. Now the third generation, they're understanding that actually I need someone who can balance the regulation and compliance needs with analytics, technology, exploitation needs in one. I think in MENA we're a little away from that. So from what I'm experiencing from Seamless and interactions from CEOs and CIOs and COOs is that they're on a big data journey. They're thinking about it, but they haven't really woken up. You'll have a head of analytics, head of data science, but a board level position dedicated to nurturing and managing data, I don't think we're there yet. So I think there's maturity in MENA that needs to come across. Lessons can be learned from what's happened already in that side of the globe. And I think the other change is regulation. So in the UK we have open banking and we have the PSD2 directive, which is a European directive. Let's put Brexit aside for a moment. What open banking for 9 major banks became imperative that they had to do it, open up their systems for with standard protocols for exchanging data. And then other banks have opted into this. Now what that has allowed is a whole ecosystem to be built by fintechs of exploiting data that banks already hold. Now, very much I believe that the next wave of banking will be built upon the data that the banks already hold. So, and I think fintechs have a way to go. They can be very, very quick in turning out technology solutions, but they're not really building capabilities per se that can scale. And I think fintechs will probably be acquired over the number of years, where you take some technology, integrate it into a bigger ecosystem of a bank. And I think a few fintechs that can really take this open banking and open sharing of data and build upon that will actually do some really quite disruptive stuff. So I think that's really what's happening over the next couple of years.